Hello, everyone, welcome back to the Impact Report. Please subscribe and like my videos. The war that many believed would end Ukraine in a matter of weeks has now entered a stage no one in Moscow expected. Ukraine did not kneel. Ukraine did not collapse. Instead, it adapted, reorganized, and rose stronger after every wave of destruction. What we are witnessing today is not just a military conflict, but a historic transformation of a nation that refused to disappear. Russia's final push, once designed to crush Ukrainian resistance completely, is now showing clear signs of failure, exhaustion, and internal pressure that is reshaping the battlefield in unexpected ways. From the very beginning, Russian leadership believed that the psychological shock of invasion would force Ukraine into submission. They expected political chaos, mass surrenders, and a divided population. Instead, Ukrainian cities became fortresses, villages became resistance hubs, and civilians became the backbone of national resilience. The exterior face of Ukraine's war effort is visible in the trenches, on the highways, in the rebuilt checkpoints, and across the skies filled with defensive systems. Every destroyed bridge was replaced by new routes. Every damaged military base became a symbol of reconstruction. What Russia saw as a broken landscape has transformed into a living shield. Ukraine's exterior battlefield presence today shows a nation that has mastered defensive geography. River crossings are guarded by layered defense systems. Urban centers are protected by integrated alert networks. Supply routes are no longer predictable, making Russian advances slower and riskier. This evolving battlefield exterior is no longer the chaotic early phase of war, but a calculated structure of resistance. Every kilometer Russia attempts to move forward now demands heavy resources, coordination, and sacrifices that continue to strain its military capacity. Inside Ukraine's military structure, the interior system of operations has become far more disciplined, professional, and strategically unified. Command centers operate with modernized communication lines. Intelligence sharing is faster and more precise. Ukrainian defense planning now follows predictive analysis rather than reactive measures. This interior transformation has allowed Ukraine to anticipate Russian movements, redirect forces efficiently, and prevent large-scale breakthroughs. The interior cohesion between military leadership, civil defense units, and national logistics has become one of Ukraine's strongest advantages. Morale within Ukraine's armed forces has also become a powerful internal engine. Soldiers are no longer fighting only for territory. They are fighting for survival, identity, and national memory. Each unit carries the story of cities that were burned, families that were displaced, and communities that were destroyed. This emotional drive has proven to be a decisive factor that technology alone cannot replace. Russian troops, in contrast, are increasingly reporting fatigue, confusion, and declining morale as their objectives remain unfulfilled. Performance on the battlefield now tells a very different story than early war predictions. Ukraine's counter-offensive strategies have slowed Russian offensives significantly. Supply depots have been neutralized. Forward units are frequently forced to retreat. Russian armored movements are no longer free-flowing. Their air superiority has been reduced in contested zones, forcing cautious flight patterns. This reduction in Russian operational freedom marks a serious decline in their campaign effectiveness. Ukraine's performance is measured not only in successful defensive operations, but also in the ability to maintain stability across civilian life. Power grids are repaired faster. Emergency services respond quicker. Digital governance systems remain operational even under pressure. This civilian continuity has allowed Ukraine to maintain economic activity, public services, and internal order. A nation that functions despite war is far harder to defeat than one that collapses into chaos. Safety has become a strategic priority across Ukrainian cities. Civilian shelters are better organized, evacuation protocols are clearer, Public warning systems operate with improved reliability. Schools have adapted underground classrooms. Hospitals have reinforced trauma response networks. These safety features are not simply humanitarian measures. They are strategic elements that preserve population stability and reduce panic, preventing Russia from using fear as a weapon. On the military front, layered defensive zones have been reinforced. Mobile response units remain on standby to counter sudden incursions. Surveillance drones monitor high-risk corridors. Local defense brigades coordinate with central command to prevent infiltration. These safety-oriented military features ensure that Russian advances are slowed before they can cause significant breakthroughs. Every kilometer gained by Russia now costs exponentially more than before. Ukraine's unique selling points in this conflict are not limited to weapons or technology. The most powerful advantage is national unity. Political divisions that once weakened Ukrainian leadership have narrowed. Civil society organizations support military logistics. Volunteers maintain supply lines. Information networks combat misinformation. Ukraine has turned itself into a living defense system where every citizen plays a role in national survival. Another unique strength lies in Ukraine's adaptability. Tactics are constantly updated based on battlefield feedback. Training programs evolve rapidly. Logistics systems are decentralized to avoid disruption. This flexibility has allowed Ukraine to survive situations that would have collapsed a rigid military structure. Russia, operating with slower bureaucratic adaptation, struggles to match this pace of change. The symbolic value of Ukraine's resistance has also become a strategic weapon. International perception, diplomatic influence, and moral legitimacy now strongly favor Ukraine. Russia faces increasing diplomatic isolation, internal economic pressure, and declining public confidence. The longer the war continues without decisive success, the deeper Russia's internal strain becomes. In terms of cost, the price of Russia's campaign has grown heavier with each failed push. Equipment losses, personnel casualties, and logistical disruptions are draining national resources. The economic burden continues to rise, while Ukraine's defense systems become more efficient and less resource-intensive. The longer Russia remains unable to secure victory, the more unsustainable its operations become. For Ukraine, the price of resistance has also been high. Lives have been lost, cities have suffered destruction, families have been displaced, yet the value gained through survival, independence, and international legitimacy outweighs material damage. Ukraine is not only defending territory, it is defending its future place in world history. As Russia's final push begins to lose momentum, cracks are appearing across the strategic map. Frontline movements slow. Command decisions become cautious. Internal criticism grows louder. What was once presented as an unstoppable advance now resembles a prolonged struggle for justification and credibility. Ukraine refuses to kneel because kneeling would mean losing identity, sovereignty, and historical continuity. Every rebuilt home, every repaired road, and every returning family is a statement that the nation remains alive. Ukraine's resilience is not temporary, it is becoming permanent. The war has reshaped Ukraine into a hardened state that understands the cost of freedom and the price of survival. Russia, on the other hand, is discovering that overwhelming force does not guarantee submission when a nation is united, prepared, and determined. The conclusion is clear. Russia's final push is failing not because of one single mistake, but because it underestimated the power of national will, strategic adaptability, and collective defense. Ukraine stands not as a broken state, but as a rising force shaped by hardship and strengthened by resistance. History will remember this period as the moment Ukraine proved that it could not be erased, and that freedom defended with unity can withstand even the strongest storms.